today, folks, we are talking about how to become a dynamic public speaker. Why? Because many of you have asked. This content is going to be exclusively on Patreon. So if you have not already, become a patron, www.patreon.com/Marquettism. It'll be a series, folks. Here is part one. Now, the first thing we must consider when we're talking about public speaking is obviously confidence. That's step one. I actually have another video about confidence, which I'm happy to share the link to. But when you're confident about what you're saying, people will come along with you. How do we know? Look at Donald Trump. He's a great example. Sometimes he says shit that doesn't even make sense, but we roll with him anyways because he said it confidently. Your confidence is conveyed in your tone and your body posture and carriage, and also how you convey that information through your gesture. So, first thing is confidence. Second thing is voice. Third thing is words. What are you actually saying? Now, let me rewind for a moment. We're talking about public speaking. Don't forget, you're speaking all of the time. That's called practice. Problem is, you're often practicing the wrong goddamn way. You need to do it like you're doing it for TV every time. You'll be a much better public speaker when it's second nature. It only becomes second nature when you over practice. That is to say the following. Amateurs do something until they get it right. Professionals do something until they cannot get it wrong. You want to be a professional. In fact, you want to be world class. So you must practice and practice and practice, which means that when you're engaging in conversation, you should be utilizing all of the tools of the public speaker, which is proper tone, which is speaking from the stomach, including bass in your voice, making sure you have a nice timbre, and ensuring that each word has a distinct end point so that you're not slurring your words together. Often when you're talking publicly, maybe giving a speech or doing something for television, there will be editing of the footage. If you're slurring your words together or not separately enunciating each word, it'll be harder to cut up those clips. So that's extremely important. Now, another thing is you have to figure out who you are as a man, as a woman, as a public speaker, because we don't all do this the same. As they say, there are many ways to skin a cat. There are some excellent public speakers I want to give you as a reference point to check out. One of the greatest of them all, you probably know, is I have a dream that one day, Martin Luther King. He has that epicness to his voice. Then you can look at Winston Churchill. He kind of has a rhythm to his speeches. We'll fight on the beaches. We will fight on the, he has a rhythm. And he's also saying some really intense stuff, right? Because he was prime minister during World War II, so his words were well written and impactful, but he says them with a rhythm. Also, you're going to have to explore literary devices. The way you speak, if it's using alliteration, for example, words that start with the same letter, you'll often hear a lot of African American preachers using this technique. Even attorneys like Johnny Cochran would use this technique when giving closing arguments. It makes things sound better. They sound rhythmic. In fact, the pimpin', pimp, pimp, hooray, you'll often hear a pimp speak with a rhythm. It's almost like a sing-song voice, but you're keeping a rhythm. And so you can learn public speaking from many different areas. Great orators like Churchill, Martin Luther King. And that's when you're talking about the way they deliver it through voice or the rhythm. And then there's another part to public speaking. It's theatrical. And the very best is Mussolini, and more, even better, is you'll see when he's speaking, he's like, Deutschland, ein Volk, ein Führer, ein Reich, ein. And he's just like, he's like very theatrical with his movements, which is going to wrap you up and pull you in. Using the body, being physical with your speaking is going to add intensity. It's going to make you more powerful. So there are all varieties of public speakers. You have to figure out where's your comfortable place. And then there are other folks, they like to smooth it out. Like, well, I can tell you that every American deserves to have a chance at a good education, free health care, and that's why we have Obamacare. You know, he just likes to give it smooth and just say what's on his mind. Different styles, figure out which style you are. And most importantly, take a little bit from each person. But here's the first starting point I want you to get down. Speak clearly when you're engaging in interpersonal conversation. If someone says you're mumbling, you need to fix that. If someone says, I can't hear you, you need to fix that. Always better to speak too loudly than not loud enough, because your volume gives confidence. Now you'll notice, my mother's one of them, when she gets on the phone, she's talking way too goddamn loud. Often you'll find women will speak very loudly when they're on the phone. Volume indicates confidence, but volume should be controlled, meaning when you're raising the volume of your voice, make sure that your voice is not cracking. If you know what I mean, sometimes you hear people yell and their voice starts to lose quality. Make sure that if you raise your voice, you are raising your voice and maintaining bass. You're pushing it out in a strong way. So here's another note, and this is just an introductory video on public speaking, giving you a little taste of all of the elements that go into an excellent public speaker. The words that you choose. For you to be a great public speaker, what you are saying does matter. The words you choose matter. It's always great to be speaking about something that's meaningful. And when you're doing such, to give the words in an eloquent way, almost like poetry. And to be one who is good at choosing words, it's great to learn from others who are already good at it. For example, I don't think you can be a great public speaker without being a fan of poetry. And here is a book of poems that I'll share some language with you, because it's easy to sound good as a public speaker when the words that you are saying are impactful or they are well written. So let me give you some well-written words. The day I realized when you hit the ground also hits you back. It just shows the depth of the pain that you go through when you suffer a fall from grace. I'm an awful mechanic, but somehow I'm still better at fixing cars than relationships. You know, using irony and humor. The key is when you're using irony and humor to make sure what you think is humorous is actually funny. That's always key to humor. And you can only do that by trial and error. All things in life, you have to take the risk of trying it and failing before it becomes high quality and good. It has been said that those who are professionals, those who are excellent, they are praised in public for what they practice incessantly in private. So if you want to become a good public speaker, you should first become a great private speaker, practicing in the privacy of your own home, practicing in your interpersonal conversations. I can assure you that public speaking is a skill that is invaluable. It'll earn you money. It'll allow you to network better with others, might even help you get the spouse that you want. Public speaking is unique because unlike other pursuits, when you're standing there alone on that stage, it's like a light shining down on you and showing who you really are.